to unpaid employees of a government.
What do you do for a living?
We buy and we recycle high-end medical imaging equipment.
Okay. And so you're spending your day serving another boss that does nothing.
Right. And it's a boss who often will not even be sensitive to what you're trying to accomplish.
Right. And sometimes hostile to it. Mark.
I sell real estate. For a real estate transaction, the file is 1.5 inches thick, so I usually give it to my wife to take care of it.
Right.
But it's just unbelievable that there is so much paperwork, which most of it is not even a regular person is
Where
not
are you
able.
from, Mark? Originally?
Poland.
You're from Poland.
I escaped the communism.
Yeah. Have you seen this road before?
I came to America to have a dream, to have to live American dream, and now I have a nightmare. It's really terrible the way I see that the country is progressing with this government and the previous administrations as well.
Yeah.
We're going the same direction, and I wouldn't call it just socialism. I think this is full-fledged communism. That's where we're heading to.
They're calling it now, and we just found this. One of FDR's advisors, we found a book that, I don't know if you saw the show, where we found this book, and we found it in one library, and we looked it up, and he talked about, it's something new called state capitalism. Well, everyone is saying we're progressing, the world is progressing towards China. It's communism, but they call it now state capitalism. Okay, back in just a second. With small business owners, entrepreneurs, and Michael, you said something in the break.
Yes, to all those people who've been let go, pushed aside during the recession, think about what you've learned. I used to work for a software company. Think about what you've learned in your business and take that and make your own job, start your own business, believe in yourself, and don't listen to the naysayers, because if you have it in yourself, you could do it.
Down here, yeah.
Oh, without a doubt. I lost my job back in the middle 80s because I wasn't happy with the ethics of my boss, unfortunately, and it was all about the work. We'd made signs, and we loved the artistry of it. And so now here I was without a job. It was right before Christmas. I was always one paycheck away from poverty, and I started learning how to work in the streets and how to sell accounts and basically work out of payphones, and I developed a business. There is no good time to start a business, similar to what person said. Take what you have and roll with it. There's never a perfect time, so just do it and be fearless.
Kara, you and Andy have started your own business. What is it again?
We're both in production. He's a re-recording mixer, and I'm in production.
Okay.
Freelance.
And you guys are just starting your own business.
No, well,
we've been operating for about 2.5 years.
And what's happening?
Yeah. We have the skills. We have the ambition. We need the mentorship, especially in this particular industry. We need somebody who can really mentor us through the shark-infested waters. And we look at each other quite often. We go, this just does not make sense, because we are educated and we do know how to do this, and we keep hitting walls for some reason. So can anybody speak to mentorship and how to find that?
It takes a team. You've got to ask. You've got to hunt somebody down who can make a difference in your life and chase them down and let them help you mentor. I'll help you. I'll help you. Ask for the help, and the Girlfriend Network is far-reaching.
I have to tell you, I am, as a business person, I'm hungry to find people like that, because you can find people who will barely work everywhere. I'm hungry, and let me make a prediction. There are going to be times now, God works in amazing ways, and he never, because I don't think he trusts humans, he never really tells everybody the whole story. He's just like, why don't you go stand over there with that box? And you're like, what? That's a stupid. Go stand over there by the box. If you actually listen to him, you'll pick up the box and stand there. Before you know, something else will happen. I think people are going to start coming out of the woodwork. People are going to, you look for people who are standing with the box, and you're like, oh my gosh, that box. Follow that and pursue it, because they won't know why they're standing with the box, but God is doing amazing things. I really believe he is not.
You've got to ask. You've got to ask.
Yeah.
You've got to stand up and ask the question. My mentor has been amazing to me, so I absolutely turn around and mentor to other women.
There's, I want to tell you about a guy, John Huntsman Sr. This is the guy who invented the egg carton. I was just with him last week. I know. You had the same thing. I'm like, what did they do with that egg cartons? I know it's one of those things you're like, oh yeah, they always had egg cartons. Styrofoam, plastic cups, knives and forks. I mean, all of that stuff was him. Now the largest private chemical corporation in the world. When he found out that styrofoam was bad for the environment, just turned it off, stopped making it. Amazing guy. This book, every entrepreneur should read this book, Winners Never Cheat. This, if everyone had the ethics of this man, the world would be a much, much different place. But I was just in his offices last week, and the products, a lot of them were killing your child, I'm sure, because he makes a lot of soap. But the products that he is responsible for and he makes is incredible. And I got down to the end of this hallway, and there were all these gold records on the wall. Now, he's a chemical guy. And I said, John, what are the gold records for? And they were all from the 60s. And he said, you remember K-Tel? And I said, yeah. And he said, it was kind of my idea. And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, before there was K-Tel, I needed money to be able to have the money to create the egg idea. And so I thought, well, I'd like a compilation album of all the hits from the 50s and early 60s, and maybe Christmas. And he sold like, I don't even know how many millions of records. He came up with that idea to fund his big idea. It's really amazing, and he's my mentor now. They'll be there. You just find the people that you have the ethics.
Well, I'm gonna
ethics.
take her advice. Can we have coffee sometime?
Well, yeah, yes, we can. I don't drink coffee, but yes, we can. All right, back in just a second. The secret to saving our country is not going to come from Washington. It's going to come from people just like you, people who have a dream and want to pursue it and are just not going to take it. They're just not going to let their country go down the drain. They can find a better way. Don.
As you said during the warm-up, as business owners, we act as the hub, and our employees are the spokes that make the wheel go around. What we have to recognize as a society and a culture is that we should be interlocking wheels, and that is take a little bit of our expertise that we've learned from being in business for ourselves and look at ways to project that to other people who may or may not have the same business idea, but they face many of the same problems.
Would you guys say that people are starting to lock arms a little bit? I mean, people are, yeah, people are, they're starting to. Can you comment on that?
Well, I just think that the circumstances of what we're living in right now has pushed people to finally express themselves and also to help each other.
Yeah.
There was a little saying years ago that if you looked for a penny every single day, you would actually find one. If you kept your eyes open, and you spoke about, I need a mentor. If your antennae are out and keep them out, and you just ride the river of that, honestly, it will come to you.
I'm telling you, people are beacons. As you think, so shall it be. You are a beacon. And you just have to, A, dismiss, correct me if I'm wrong, dismiss all coincidence. There is no coincidence. There's not a coincidence that we're here, and a coincidence that we're all here together. And there's always something. You're a beacon. Like-minded people just kind of attract.
Right, and forums and roundtables are happening all over the countries. Once we may have been competitors, now we're aligning for one common cause. We will survive and we will succeed for ourselves, our families, and our communities.
This is like a happy show. This never happens on this show. This is happy. Back in a minute. Continuing with a happy theme tonight. How to Restart America. I am launching next Tuesday this book, Broke, The Plan to Restore Our Trust, Our Truth, and Our Treasure. It's cut in 3 sections. The first part is history. How did we get here? Second part, if you liked common sense, this is like common sense to 1,000. The second section is, how bad is it, really? Tell me the truth, doctor. I've got cancer. How long do I have to live? Then the third part is, what do we do? Honestly, I met for over a year putting this book together, met with some of the biggest experts, and everything they said is basically being said here. Everything they said, I just made notes of it. I thought, founders did that, founders did that. And it was freedom. And it was sparking the imagination of the American people. Patrick, you said you start a business and there's 3 phases.
Absolutely. When you start a business, you know, she got support, but not always you get the support. Sometimes it's scary. You go through a first phase where you're going to get ridiculed. It's a very tough phase. Most people quit at that phase. Second one is you'll be violently opposed. Your relatives are going to make rumors. Your family's going to say things, sometimes your friends, acquaintances. But then at the end, when it becomes self-evident, everybody says, we always knew you were going to do it.
I know, I love that. Very quickly.
We need a government that doesn't slam the brakes on the entrepreneurial spirit, which is an integral part of American culture.
Michael, last thought.
Glenn, too many people fear failure. I believe they should fear regret at not trying, because we have one trip on this earth.
Amen, brother. Live your life. You were born here for a reason. You have freedom unlike anybody else. Live. Don't exist. Live. From New York, good night.